Hello guys, it's Julian and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Well, today I will start a new section in the channel. It would be about, I don't know, for sure I will put this in the podcast section. And the plan in this case is like create a space where I will be making different topics or talking about different topics and tasks that I need to make or improve or are interesting for me to learn. Basically, it's to learn this section. You will be watching me learning. So for sure, could be like my personal study session or something like that. And well, today I will start this section. It is about just me reading about a book that um, I haven't been reading for a while because lately I have been a little bit unorganized in my life and in my routine. So it was kind of hard to find the appropriate moment to study. So maybe this would be useful to be consistent in this process. And yeah, that's it basically. If I stop myself when I'm talking, sorry about that, but if I think that I'm recording myself at this moment, I will put more pressure in myself, and I want to make this in a natural way. And well, that's it basically. Sorry if it is kind of dark compared with the last videos where usually it was with a wall behind me, and it was a better light. But for this format, I think that it would be useful. Well, basically, and before to start, this will be one of many sections. For example, I'm doing this because I want to improve my reading, in this case in English, and it's a pretty interesting book which can be interesting for you as well. But that's it basically. And well, I have a couple of books that I need to finish, so I will be creating and recording myself and upload those videos in the podcast sections for sure. So yeah, this will be the first of those. And to give you a spoiler about other kind of content that I want to create, basically I will be well, I have in mind to make a section about me spelling letter by letter words, like spelling, to practice my intonation and my reading and so on, because I consider that when you spell the words, I don't know if I saying that word good, but you know what I mean. It's pretty useful to be clear when you talk, and well, that would be a section. But I have another in mind because currently I'm trying to learn German, and yeah, that's it. You will be showing me learning English, German, and English as well, and maybe other languages, and maybe we can talk or we can study about technology because well, currently I'm studying to become a programmer. I made a couple of projects, but I want to learn more about the core concepts about programming. So maybe it could be interesting, and you can it could be interesting for you as well. And on the other hand, well, to start with this section and with this book, maybe I will spend like 30 minutes reading this, and I will, yeah, well, I will try to make this constantly, like each day have a video related with this book. And the book is called Polyglot Notes. Give me a second, I will share the author. It's Yuriv Ivantsiv. And well, how the name mentioned, it's about how to become a polyglot, or it's a book who talk about a couple of strategies which are useful to learn languages, and what are those topics in which you need to make focus to improve in your language, in your target language. Well, I start. I how can I say this? But I started this book. I don't know, maybe a month ago. So maybe I'm. How can I say this? But I read a little bit about this book. Like actually, I'm in the page 156. So yeah, I want this won't be a book who I will be starting from the beginning basically, but I want to use this space to start to share the topics which are pretty important with all of you. So I will start with this. Give me a second because I need to find this book in my library here. Or yeah, well, this book is completely legal. I have this book. I buy this book, but if you want to read it and you don't have money, well, there are many places where you can get it. For example, Anna's the archive, Anna's archive or something. If you want to read it, but that's it. Well, page. I will start page 56. Give me a second. Well, I will stay focused with this, so I won't be talking too much, because that's the point, doesn't it? Well, I will give you a review about the last chapter. It was talking about the inductive method to learn a new language, and it is about to basically, well, the inductive method is basically read, it could be read or listen, but basically involve yourself into the context and try to understand the context, not just each word which people are saying or something. You just need to understand the idea, and then you will be improving your ability, your skills to understand the language. And if you involve in that context, even if you don't catch all those topics with people is talking about, you will be able to understand and communicate eventually. Maybe I can make a review or a video talking about these methods, because it's pretty interesting. Because talk about different approach in which you can face the learning process, and it's so useful. Actually, I don't remember too much about. Well, yeah, I remember right now. Well, the last one was the inductive method to learn English, and the next one, it is the differentiate approach. I will make a. I just want to say something. This is the first time that I read something like a book or something very seriously in English, and loudly as well. So you will be forgetting me, forgive me. Differentiate approach. Differentiate approach to the differentiated approach to teaching grammar allows to combine different approaches and methods. I will be reading slowly to get the rhythm first, because to speak my rhythm is higher, and now I need to read, and I need to make my speech slowly. Differentiated approach. The differentiated approach to teaching grammar allows to combine different approaches and methods, taking into account such peculiarities of learning as learning objectives, type of form, speech activity, stage of learning, language material being learned, age of a student, etc. A partial combination of different approaches can be very effective and will help to fill in the shortcomings of one approach with the advantages of another. That's weird. Acquisition of language usage norms. The use of language in artificial situations in training exercises to replicate structures and models. Sorry, again. Acquisition of language, give me a second. I will clean a little bit my desk first to stay focused. Acquisition of language usage norms. The use of language in artificial situation in training exercises to replicate structures and models. In this case, the student demonstrates reader his or her knowledge of the language, but not the practical skills of using it in real communication situations. Real language use. The use of language in real-life situations for authentic speech communications. Training. Okay, it's like, yeah, are like keywords. Using training exercises to assimilate and consolidate language material by repeating, modifying, and transforming selected and practiced models. Training exercises that are meaningful to the trainees. Such exercises provide for frequent, repeated use of practiced models and structures. Such exercises provide for frequent, repeated use of practiced models and structures, but not... Sorry. It's kind of weird, read loudly, you know? It's like I cannot stay focused in the text because I'm focused in how I need to say the words properly, but it's a good exercise. I will give you that. Such exercise, again, training exercises that are meaningful to the trainees. Such exercises provide for frequent, repeated use of practiced models and structures, but not unconsciously, but taking into account their semantic significance at a sufficient... Maybe the problem is that I don't want to see myself in front of the camera. Yeah, it's weird because I can see myself talking there. I don't like that. Give me a second. Maybe there. Sorry about that. This would be the most weird video on the internet, but it is what it is. Okay. Give me a second, I will start again. Okay, training exercises that are meaningful to the trainees. Such exercises provide for frequent, repeated use of practice models and structures, but not unconsciously, but taking into account their semantic significance at a sufficiently high level among the trainees. For example, in guessing games, students will constantly use similar question structures, but do not mechanically... Okay. For example, in guessing games, students will constantly use similar question structures, but do not mechanically, but consciously, choosing and partially modifying them at their own discretion to solve a speech problem. An important feature of such training is the ability to choose, although limited to certain frames. The antipode of such training can be considered exercises in which students practically do not select anything independently, but only mechanically repeat the proposed correct models. The correctness of errors here is almost equal to zero, but okay. The correctness of errors here is almost equal to zero, but the probability that the students understand exactly what and why they are doing is not higher. Yeah, I got it. It's like a psychological thing. Such exercises can safely be called a useless training. Training exercises. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I was thinking about a couple of things because you need to stay very involved with this book because talk about many scientific approaches. So it can be used hard sometimes. Training exercises with a rigid setting set by a mechanism of execution. Exercises of this type usually involve one correct answer and are aimed at practicing languages skills bringing them to automatism. Bringing them to automatism. Often such exercises are associated with mechanical working out, modeling, or substituting with a given choice. Conditional communication training exercises where, in addition to installation, advice and explanations are given. Okay, again, conditional communication training exercises where, in addition to installation, advice and explanations are given on how to form this exercise are very effective. In these tips, the emphasis can only be on grammatical rules. For example, differences in times and composition of statements. In this type of exercise, students have some freedom, can make independent decisions. Their creativity is not limited to one strictly planned answer. Games to consolidate grammar. Consolidate grammar. Mastering grammar implies not so much knowledge of rules as the ability. Give me a second. Give me a second because usually I need to translate a couple of things to make this more understandable for me. Dude, what is going on? Okay. Okay, again. Games to consolidate grammar. Mastering grammar implies not so much knowledge of rules as the ability, without hesitation, to implement them in the process of communication. Okay, mastering grammar implies not so much knowledge of rule as the ability, without hesitation, to implement them in the process of communication. Okay, this is pretty important. I will make a comment on this in my book. Basically, to learn grammar, you need to apply those concepts in the communication speech when you talk with another person or maybe chatting online. To learn grammar, you apply to you in our communication. The best way to consolidate grammar skills is through games. Wow, that's pretty important. Remember that, guys. The best way to consolidate grammar skills is through games. The games are divided into different groups: language, lexical grammar, and communicative. Well, this could be a good exercise. Like, if the best way to consolidate grammar skills is through games, spill it words. It could be a good exercise. Like, yeah, that's it basically. The games are divided into different groups: language, lexical and grammar, and communicate. Language, lexical, grammar, and communicative. Games that aim to solve problems together and are competitive in nature. Okay, the games are divided into different groups: language, lexical, grammar, and communicative. Okay, games are divided into different groups: language, lexical, grammar, and communicative. Games that aim to solve problems together and are competitive in nature. oriented or oriented towards frontal, group paired form of work. Well, the book have a weird translation actually, or I don't know, maybe I'm very bad at reading. There are a specially developed collection of games ideas for learning foreign language. Okay, this is pretty useful. Okay, to learn grammar, you need to play games, basically. There are specially developed collections of games. Again, there are specially developed collections of game ideas for learning foreign languages. Each game is aimed at working out specific grammatical structures in a meaningful and interesting context. Basics of grammar. Basics of grammar. It is important to know the basics of grammar well, and the fact that you are familiar with its secondary manifest. Okay. It is important to know the basis of grammar well, and the fact that you are familiar with its secondary manifestations does not play such a role. Well, do not look for logical explanation in exceptions. Learn the rules and exceptions to them. Do not look for logic in grammar. Okay, do not look for logic in grammar, because not everything is built logically. Learn rules with examples of them. Do not memorize grammar rules without examples, which such training will be much longer and more difficult. Compare grammar. When you learn the grammar of a foreign language, compare it with the grammar of your mother tongue using concrete examples. This will allow you to find similarities and perhaps create some kind of association that will help you in the future. Okay, that's pretty important. Yeah, are good advices actually, but I would like to have an example about a game, a particular game to learn grammar topics. Okay. In your target language, with your tongue, with your native language. Okay. Practice using grammar. Work on the verb conjugation. Practice using grammar. Work on the verb practice using grammar. Work on the verb conjugation. Learn how to define time and remember the order of words in a sentence. Compile grammatical tables. When you study a rule, draw tables for it to remember. Okay. When you study a rule, draw tables for it to remember it clearly. This will make it easier for you to remember the rule. You can buy ready-made manuals on grammar, tables and schemes. Also, it is possible to take a small photo album for photos in the size 10 multiply 15 centimeters. Yeah, 15 centimeters. To print sheets with schemes and tables on grammar on the printer, and to insert in. This is kind of hard, dude. Like, also, it is possible to take a small photo album for photos in the size 10 por 15 centimeters to print sheets with schemes and tables on grammar on the printer, and to insert in files of photo albums. Such visual aids will help to understand new material well, and also to refresh in memory already past lessons. It is necessary to look only at the scheme or the table. Actually, I need to make that. Like I have a lot of topics of grammar in my mind, but usually I don't study grammar regularly, because when you talk with people, you don't say, well, right now I will be using the present perfect in this sentence. No, you just automate those topics. But usually it's kind of weird, because if I don't write too much in English, or I don't use a particular topic in my speech when I talk with other people, I usually forget a little bit of those. So maybe put a paper or a table in my wall would be very useful, actually. So I will consider that it could be so useful. Okay, this is pretty important, by the way. Such visual aids will help you to understand new material well, and also to refresh memory in already past lessons. It is necessary to look only at the scheme or the table. Compile sentences using different grammar rules. Come up with suggestions that have several similar rules at once. Come up with suggestions that have several similar rules at once. In this case, you will be able to compare different rules. Okay, come up with suggestions that have several similar rules at once. In this case, you will be able to compare different rules and similarities and differences in them. Everyday practice, that's very important. Make the most of your knowledge. Do the exercises from the textbooks. Try to use a variety of grammatical constructions in conversational speech more often. Make them more automatic. Make them more automatic, so that you don't have to think about how to make grammatical constructions during conversation. Do not limit yourself to examples from the same textbook. It is not enough to work out the grammar only on the exercises from the manual you are studying. Come up with your own examples. Use good grammar tutorials. Textbooks should contain clear tables explaining a rule, as well as exercises that will help improve grammatical skills and bring the use of constructions to automatism. Understand and remember. Okay. Use good grammar tutorials. Textbooks should contain clear tables explaining a rule, as well as exercises that will improve grammatical skills and bring the use of constructions to automatism. Understand and remember the correct use of grammatical constructions. It is not necessary to memorize the rules by heart as they are presented. Okay, it is not necessary to memorize the rules by heart. What? Give me a second. Heart. Wow, just for 6 minutes to finish this lesson, bro. I wanna keep reading. Oh, take time to learn. I need to improve a lot. I need to read faster, That's my own feedback here. I need to read faster because it takes me a while to read this. Understand and remember the correct use of grammatical constructions. It is not necessary to memorize the rules by heart as they are presented in the textbook. The main thing is to understand them and start to using them in practice. Practice in the real life. That's the topic about the book, basically. Take time to learn yourself, even if you are working with a personal trainer or on a course. Take time to learn by yourself, even if you're working with a personal trainer or on a course. The more time you devote to bringing your grammar to automatic, the faster you will progress. Read out loud books in a foreign language. We are doing that, dude. At the beginning of grammar learning, it is best to choose special aids for foreign language learners. Okay, at the beginning of grammar learning, it is best to choose special aids for foreign language learners, where at the end of the text there is a list of words to learn and questions on maintaining the meaning of the text. By answering these questions, you will consolidate the information you have read and supplement your vocabulary with intelligently constructed phrases. Okay, by answering these questions, you will consolidate the information you have read and supplement your vocabulary with intelligently constructed phrases. Reading a text in a foreign language is a good way to see how the grammar of a foreign language is used in practice. Perform grammar tests. Perform grammar tests. The test will help you to understand which topics you have already mastered. Well, okay, that's pretty important. I need to make that. Like, yeah. About grammar topics. Perform grammar tests. The tests will help you to understand which topics you have already mastered well. What else you need to thicken up. There are special test kits and learning sites. There are special test kits and learning sites. However, you will have to look for explanations of the correct answers yourself. Do exercises that will help you consolidate what you have learned or repeat what you have learned. Okay, do exercises that will help you consolidate what you have learned or repeat what you have learned. Write over the text. Take a book in a foreign language and start rewriting it. The lesson is quite monotonous, but you cannot only see the grammatical structures, but also, okay, take a book in a foreign language and start rewriting it. That's crazy. Yeah, but it's crazy, but it sounds useful, you know. Take the book in a foreign language and start rewriting it. The lesson is quite monotonous, but you cannot only see the grammatical structures, but also consolidate them in practice in written speech. Okay, the lesson is quite monotonous, but you cannot only see the grammatical structures, but also consolidate them in practice in writing speech. Rewrite the text and do exercises in your notebooks as mechanical memory included in the work. Okay. Rewrite the text and do exercises in your notebooks as mechanical memory is included in the work. Pay attention to how native speakers use grammatical constructions. Write the verses, reread them from time to time. Gradually, you will remember the correct use of a particular design. Yeah, that happens a lot. Use mobile applications that will help you learn grammar. Practice it and test your knowledge. Learn grammar in bursts. Oh, that's so useful. I have that in my task. In my tasks. How can I say this? In my task list. In my to-do list. The rhymed verses are easy to remember. The rhymed verses are easy to remember. Get rid of the physiological barriers. Get rid of the psychological barriers. That's pretty important, and I don't have too much time actually. So probably, maybe I can read this. Get rid of the psychological barriers. Some people are so afraid of mistakes that they try to avoid simple sentences, avoid using different times. Some people are so afraid of mistakes that they try to avoid simple sentences, avoid using different times. Only by practicing your knowledge during communication will you be able to understand what you have learned well and what you need to work on. Yeah, that's right. Some people are so afraid of mistakes that they try to avoid simple sentences, avoid using different times. Only by practicing your knowledge during communication will you be able to understand what you have learned well and what you need to work on. Grammar exercise book. I don't have a book to make exercises, by the way. I need to buy someone. Well, until now, we'll read I guess 6 pages. It was a good rate actually to be the first time. And if I make this every day, I will finish this book in, I don't know, I need like 170 pages. I don't know, divide that for 6. Well, I don't know, maybe 30 days, maybe less, I don't know. But I will try to make this every day. Until now, this video, it was very useful for me and I learned a while, and it's funny actually. I hope you can read this book as well. It is very useful. I'm sorry about I couldn't start this book with all of you since the beginning, but Polyglot Notes, it is the name of the book, so I hope you can get it and read it because it's so useful. I will upload this video. Well, it's 11:33 right now, but probably I'll update this book tomorrow or today. I don't know, maybe today or maybe tomorrow. I don't know, because I upload a video an hour ago, so I don't know. Maybe tomorrow, for sure tomorrow. And well, tomorrow I will be making the same, reading this book, and for sure we can read a couple of articles as well. Actually, we can make those. Well, yeah, we can make this for much more time. Sorry, for more time, but the video would be so longer. And besides, I need to edit a little bit this video to adapt the video for YouTube, so it could be a problem. But for now on, I will start with 30 minutes or so on. So, and then we can change the format of this kind of videos. So it was a pleasure, guys. I hope you find it useful and learn something. So see you the next time. Bye bye.